Okay, let's talk about one of the most incredible turning points in all of human history. We're going to dive into a time when everything people thought they knew got turned completely upside down, and our entire understanding of the universe and, our place in it was totally redrawn. So just for a second, I want you to imagine that every single thing you've ever been taught, everything your entire society is built on, rests on one simple fact, that we are the absolute center of everything. So what happens when somebody comes along and asks this question? It's the kind of question that doesn't just raise eyebrows, it starts a fire.
You see, for more than 1,000 years, the answer was simple. The universe was neat, it was tidy, and it revolved entirely around us. This wasn't just a popular idea, it was the bedrock of knowledge, backed up by the greatest ancient philosophers and the church itself.
Right, so the official model was called the geocentric model. This was championed by the brilliant ancient thinker Ptolemy. The idea was that the Earth just sat still, and everything else, the sun, the moon, all the planets and stars, they all spun around us in what everyone assumed were perfect, heavenly circles. It was a beautiful, elegant idea that pretty much dominated all of Western thought for centuries.
But that foundation, which seemed as solid as rock, was about to get some serious cracks. And what's wild is that the first big tremors came from two revolutionary books that were published in the very same year. These books didn't just challenge our view of the heavens, they challenged our understanding of our own bodies.
And that year was 1543. You'll often hear historians point to this exact year as the official start of the scientific revolution. It's the moment the match was well and truly lit.
And here, you can really see the clash of ideas. On one side, you've got the old, comfortable geocentric view that had been around forever. And on the other side, this radical new heliocentric model from a guy named Nicholas Copernicus. He had the nerve to suggest that the sun, not us, was the center of everything, and that the Earth was just another planet going around it. I mean, this was a direct shot at centuries of tradition. And get this, in that same year, 1543, Andreas Vesalius published his incredible work on human anatomy. So just as Copernicus was looking at the stars with fresh eyes, Vesalius was doing the exact same thing with the human body. He basically threw out the ancient medical texts and said, I'm going to rely on what I can see for myself, using direct observation from dissections. He ended up correcting hundreds of years of mistakes. The message from both of them was crystal clear. Don't just trust what you're told, go look for yourself. So now you've got these explosive new ideas floating around. But to really build on them, you need more than just ideas. You need a whole new way of figuring out what's actually real. You need a new rulebook for reality itself. And this is where two absolute titans of philosophy come in, René Descartes and Francis Bacon. They basically gave humanity a crash course in how to think scientifically. Descartes was all about logic and pure reason, thinking things through step by step. Meanwhile, Bacon was the show-me-the-evidence guy. He argued for the experimental method. Observe the world, run tests, and then, and only then, draw your conclusions. You put their ideas together and boom, you get the engine of modern science, a powerful mix of smart theories and real-world proof. Okay, so you've got a new model of the cosmos. You've got new methods for finding truth. The stage is set for an epic showdown. And that clash really came to a head with one man who dared to point a brand new invention up at the night sky, the one and only Galileo Galilei.
And what Galileo saw through his telescope was, well, it was just mind-blowing. He spotted moons orbiting Jupiter. That alone proved that not everything in the universe revolved around the Earth. He saw that Venus has phases just like our moon, which only makes sense if it's orbiting the sun. And he saw that the heavens weren't some perfect, flawless creation. The moon was covered in craters and mountains, and the sun had spots. Every single observation was another nail in the coffin for the old worldview and more evidence for Copernicus.
But this kind of truth-telling came at a huge personal cost. Galileo's discoveries put him on a collision course with the Catholic Church. He was hauled before the Inquisition, put on trial, and ultimately forced to publicly renounce his own ideas. They sentenced him to house arrest for the rest of his life. This just goes to show you, the stakes in this battle of ideas couldn't have been higher. This was dangerous stuff.
Galileo might have been silenced, but the revolution he helped start was just getting going. It was unstoppable. Now, the next giant leap forward needed someone who could take all these amazing scattered discoveries, from Copernicus, from Galileo, from others, and weave them all together into one single powerful system that could explain the whole universe. That person was Isaac Newton. Honestly,
It's hard to even wrap your head around Newton's genius. He came up with the 3 laws of motion. He figured out the law of universal gravitation, realizing that the very same force that makes an apple fall from a tree is what keeps the planets locked in their orbits. He even figured out that white light is actually made up of a whole rainbow of colors. His book, Principia, is easily one of the most important scientific books ever written. Period.
So, to describe this new universe, this clockwork of moving objects and invisible forces, Newton realized he needed a totally new kind of math, a new language. So what did he do? He invented it. He developed calculus, a mathematical tool so powerful it could predict the motion of everything from a cannonball to a planet. I mean, think about that. He didn't just discover the universe's rules, he literally created the tools we needed to understand them.
So you see, the scientific revolution was about so much more than planets and gravity. It was a complete overhaul of how we as human beings search for knowledge. And its impact? Well, we feel it every single day.
So let's just quickly run through the highlights of this incredible story. It kicks off in 1543 with Copernicus and Vesalius. Then in the early 1600s, Galileo points his telescope to the sky. By the mid-1600s, Descartes and Bacon are giving us the new rules of science. And it all culminates in 1687 with Newton's Principia, which ties it all together. It was about a century and a half that completely remade our world.
And the legacy of all this? It was massive. The whole idea of questioning authority spread from science to society. New groups like the Royal Society popped up so scientists could share and debate their ideas. New tools like the telescope and microscope literally opened up entire new worlds to explore. And maybe most importantly, this new focus on reason and evidence lit the fuse for the Enlightenment, a movement that would use these exact same principles to totally revolutionize our ideas about government, rights, and human freedom.
Ultimately, the scientific revolution taught us to be brave, to challenge what we think we know, and to put our trust in what we can observe and prove. And it leaves all of us with a powerful, timeless question. In our own world today, with all the things we just take for granted, what long-held belief do you think science will challenge next?